Hello guys, this is Harshit Bhardwaj and I am back with this series of videos in which I will introduce you to one of the texts in the UPSC English Literature optional syllabus. This text is The Rape of the Lock by Alexander Pope. I'll introduce this text to you and I'll introduce what are the important concepts that you must understand. Once you've seen this and you've read the text in full, we can do a live interaction with you with YouTube live about this text. So I think that's the right approach. First, I'll give you a basic introduction video, and then we can do the live where you can discuss your queries and doubts with me. Here goes. An academy is reducing and offering their best subscription offers. If you have not subscribed to an academy and you're waiting for it, this is the best time, right? Price is hiking on the 1st of August. This offer is where you can get batches, mains test series, prelims test series, books, and optional batches. The combo you can save as much as 25% plus 10% plus 10%, around I don't know 45%, and you get the free optional test series. So there is a lot of saving if you join an academy now. There is a mentorship week starting from 29 July to 4th of August, and you can get a mentor if you get subscribed. Test series for optional preparation is also coming, so you will have that option as well with an academy. You get a lot of options to cover your prelims preparation for 2021. You can apply my code Harshit to get 10% off right away. There is a CSE Assure on 2-year courses, where if after the first year you're not happy, an academy will look after your second year's preparation. So that's a pretty big assurance. Most comprehensive test series, books created by the Unacademy educators, UPSC Dream, which is a loan for UPSC. You can get a loan for your subscription. A test called UPSC Combat happens every Sunday. It's free to attend. Don't miss out. Batches for 21, 22, 23, prelims batches, 1-year batches, 2-year batches, and now the Tamil batches are also there and subscription of different kinds. Let's move on to the rape of the lock. So I think most of you have read Rape of the Lock. If you have not read, this is part of paper one syllabus of UPSC, and it's a long poem in 5 cantos, right? It's about 780 lines in 5 cantos. It's not difficult to read. You must read it in entirety. I'll introduce you to some of the ideas. If you have read the poem, it'll make more sense. If you have not read it, you can pause this, go back to the poem, read the poem, and then come back and watch it. And so that when we do the next live class discussing Rape of the Lock, you will be better prepared. So the primary concepts from this text are neoclassical nature of this text, mock epic, why Rape of the Lock is a mock epic, supernatural machinery, how Alexander Pope uses supernatural machinery and why, what is it, and the critique of British society, how this text is a critique, is a very well defined critique of the contemporary British society of the time. So we'll quickly look at all these points one by one. Why is it a neoclassical text? What is neoclassicism? So you can read about neoclassicism on Wikipedia to get more understanding. In this text, based on this text reading, how do you understand what is neoclassicism? Just remember the basics. Don't worry about understanding everything. Neoclassical or neoclassicism is new classical. So the authors, poets, playwrights of this age, the 18th century, they were going back to the classics, Roman and Greek classics, primarily Greek classics. So in going back, it means they were trying to mimic the structure and subjects of the classical texts. In the Rape of the Lock, the structure is a five canto structure like a classical drama. It's written in heroic couplets, in iambic pentameters, rhyming iambic pentameters, which is also a classical device. Because classical literature, there are a lot of epics written in classical literature by Homer and Virgil. There is an element of epic during the neoclassical times, and Alexander Pope, for the Rape of the Lock, is actually mocking the idea of epic. We'll find out more about that in the next slide. So, how is it mocking the epic? So, good understanding of what an epic is, what the elements of an epic are. In an epic, you have an invocation, there is a proposition, the story starts from medias res, there are magnified, you know, uh, great big descriptions of the wars and the armies and the weapons, and it's a huge subject. There is a hero who's larger than life. All that is part of Rape of the Lock, but Alexander Pope is satirizing this. It's a satire. He's mocking the entire idea of the epic. Third point about neoclassicism is the structure. In terms of structure, as I already said, it's in five cantos, which is a very classical structure. It's written in the style of the classical texts. It has a lot of references to the classical texts, and the way the story is told, where the narrative is told, is in the manner of the epics from the classical era. So that's why it's a new classical text. You must be wondering what the hell mock epic is. What is an epic? So I've told you what an epic and how this poem becomes mock epic. It's very simple. It's because it's mocking the epic style, and everything about an epic is being mocked by Alexander Pope. There is a very trivial, simple theme of the cutting of a lock of hair of the heroine Belinda. That is the major action. That becomes the reason of a war. War as in again in symbolic terms. So that trivial theme is exalted to an epic status. That is one way of mocking it. In terms of structure and form, even though the entire poem is about the small incident of cutting of a lock of hair, but the entire poem is written as if it's Homer's Odyssey or it's Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita. It's like the Kurukshetra war. It's written and presented in the grand epic style. That's why it is mocking the structure and form of the epic. There are elements of epic in it, like the supernatural machinery, like the language, like the structure, like the treatment of the characters. So there are a lot of elements of the epic. That brings me to the supernatural machinery in this. In the supernatural machinery, right in the Canto 1, stanza 2, the supernatural machinery is introduced. That supernatural machinery, it consists of various supernatural beings like sylphs, gnomes, salamanders, and they have different names, they have different responsibilities. There is a very dedicated description of the supernatural beings. So you have to ask yourself why supernatural beings are there. Because one, supernatural beings are part of every epic. Every epic in the classical era had supernatural elements. That's why Pope introduced those supernatural elements. But he's also mocking the idea of supernatural elements. Next one is how this text critiques the British society. I'm only giving you brief counters. I'm not giving you a lot of extensive counters. I'm giving you very brief counters, very brief points when you read your poem. Keep these points in mind. For the extended discussion, we'll have the live. The poem is mocking primarily the vanity of the 18th century British society. It is mocking how the interfamiliar familial politics happen between the aristocratic families. And overall, it's mocking the high culture of the time, how it was so shallow and superficial. With these points, I think you'll have a good head start when you start reading this poem. These are the primary poem concepts that UPSC asks questions around, right? If you understand these, you understand this poem, you can crack the questions of this poem. So read this poem. Get in touch with me when you've read it. Write in the comments that you've read it and you're ready for the live. So based on the number of comments, I'll quickly organize a live session. So at least 10 to 15 students should get back to me after watching this video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next class. Thank you.